This conference will now be
Well, welcome
recorded.
everybody. We're on our Wednesday Flowerful Living Healing Hour, and we thank you for joining us, whether you're live here with us or on the recording, because you know what? It's always the good time to be looking for wellness. So there you go. Today we're going to be celebrating August of 26 and all kinds of new energies coming in. We've got the Lionsgate on the 8th. So that's a really good time right now to be looking into, what do I want to be bringing forward and change, and being open to change being something that's very positive for me. So I think that's really wonderful. We're going to be doing a four-point series, four-part, there it is, four-part series on looking at our core separations. And you're like, wow, what does that mean? So I have been reading a really wonderful book. Where is it? Oh, here it is. And it's called Refuge for the Weary Empath. And it's by Dave Markowitz. And we're going to be going through some of his stuff, but really putting our perspective on it as empaths. So I think it's going to be really interesting to be able to look at that and what we're doing with that. So right at that, let's just go ahead and take a nice deep breath together, because one of the most important things about being in community with an empath is being in community when we know we can be safe. And this is a safe place and sanctuary for each other. So let's just clean out. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. And put your hands to your heart and maybe one on your belly, and just take a nice deep breath with that. And just really inviting ourselves to be open to what Spirit has for us in our messages, and really just looking at knowing that this is a really sensitive thing to be looking at, our separations, but yet it's very enlightening. It really helps you to just say, that's why I've been that way for so long. Oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. So we're going to be looking at the four ones, and I'm just going to give a real quick synopsis of that and go right into our first one. Our first one is basically going to be spiritual separation, and it's feeling the disconnection from source and oneness. So just kind of think of there are any times in my life when I've just felt so lonely and I don't even know why. I could be in a stadium with a bunch of people, but yet I feel alone. What is that about? We're going to talk about that a little bit today. We're going to be talking about physical abandonment next week, and really looking at the body's memory and of a lack of safety and support. And again, these are just core things that we have, but once we start really cascading into these things, and especially today, looking at our spiritual connection of why we feel like, what the heck is going on, I think it's going to make a lot more sense. And I'm really excited and looking forward to the end of the month and really having a Q&A on that about, how are you guys now that we've had this new information come through? The next one is going to be emotional rejection and looking at the abandonment issues. And boy, with those last two episodes, when we did forgiveness, those were things that were bubbling up from that. And really, Spirit had been talking to me about levels of shame and abandonment and what that looks like. And I think that's the reason why we're talking about this now, because it really helps to, it's like the puzzle pieces are falling into place when you look at these things and realize what they are and what they haven't been. And then authentic suppression, learning to hide our true selves, so we can stay connected or feeling safe. And it's like, let's be authentic. Let's be out there and just really sharing who we really are in the world on whatever level that can feel safe. And I think it's just like I'm always talking about those little pigeon steps. What are the little micro things I can do, helping myself to be in a place of feeling that much more safe, that much more sharing myself. And of course, that's finding safe people. So that's something that's going to be a component when we talk about the authenticness of being able to do that. So, why are we really facing this? It can be an overwhelming signal that, we really need to recognize that sensitivity and being an empath is not a flaw. It's about becoming amplified and being able to take our wounds and having them be something that we look at to really help ourselves to be connected to everyone, because we have this all in common. It's seeking to be helpful for others. Are we the people pleaser? We all can say, yay, let's raise our hands because we know that we are. And really being in that place of just, being in that place of like, I want to be helping my family. I want to be in a serving role. I want to feel like I can be, feeling very deeply with other people's pains. So, whether I feel, somebody in a room and I recognize automatically there's something going on with that, and it can be on a global level. So sometimes it's a matter of like, is this my pain? Is this my issue? Or am I really sensing something on just a really large level? And I haven't been able to really tune into that in a place of just saying, is this mine? And we're going to talk about a little bit of like, how can I find that out if I'm not sure how to be able to connect with that? And it's also about having boundary confusions. Let's all put our hands together like this. And just kind of get into the point where you're feeling the little energy. It's always those yoga things when you rub your hands together and you can put your hands together, right? And you feel that energy, right? Well, if you do that, go ahead and put your hands together. Now, what happens here is if we do this with other people, we get enmeshed. And one thing Dave likes to call it it's meshergy. So it's like we're so connected to other people, and we've been doing it all of our lives since we were kids. We don't even necessarily know where I end and where they begin. So let's put our hands together again like this and have a separation. And then put your hands together like this. This really shows our level of energetics where I can be respectful, I can be in a place of awareness, and I know where I end and that next person begins. And isn't it wonderful that it's the prayer pose and it's coming from that place of I'm connecting with you in more of a sacred place. So it helps us to have respect. It has us for a sense of boundaries and knowing where I end and where you begin. So I think it's a really wonderful way of being able to remember that and looking at prayer maybe from just a different perspective, especially when it comes to just having that communion with each other. It reminds me of in Hawaiian with aloha. There's this connection that Hawaiians have very traditionally that I've learned from Hawaiian friends that basically just says we come together and we recognize each other in a very sacred place. And aloha actually means the ha is actually sharing the breath, the sacred breath with one another, and we get close enough that we actually with each other and share that. And then and the ha sound too is our hearts. We're sharing from a very expressive level of using the power of air to be able to be connecting with that. So I wanted to read something really quick with this of something that Dave has in this, and it's got a lot of impact with it about just kind of the awareness with that. It says, when you're born, feeling connected to when we're born, we're feeling connected to everyone and everything, but through a series of painful abandonments that force us to be individuate. And we've spent our entire lives unconsciously trying to get back to that state of the oneness, usually in ways that end up hurting us more than helping others. Let's say that your mom is depressed, and as an infant, you instinctively reached out energetically to try to help her. You did this because you think that you can and that you should. You don't see you see yourself as source, and you see your mom as separate. So you want to help her to get back to that connection of source. So like the wave of an ocean, which appears for both of you individually, but also interconnected into the whole ocean. We reach out instinctively to help. Like when we are banging our knee or stub our toe, we automatically reach out to hold and comfort to the injured parts of self. Because again, if we're oneness, it's just a part of myself that I want to help to heal. As an infant or a young child, if we do this even more and notice the positive change in ourselves or that person that we're exchanging the energy with, we start forming an ego message that says, this is how I give love. And so the intention is beautiful, but it creates that veil of separation because we think as I'm connecting and giving love, it's that connection of stuff. So the ego starts telling you have to be outward and sharing love with others as opposed to recognizing the oneness that's between us and having it be connected. So when it comes to that level of separation, it's recognizing that I'm trying to be coming back to the oneness. I'm trying to be coming back to the oneness. So it really helps us to be that loneliness comes from that sense of we're further and further when we're helping people, we have that much more veils that basically start blocking us from that level of oneness. It reminds me of Alan Cohen. He was really wonderful with all the different stories he had. And one time he was telling a story about there was a new baby that came into the house, and they always have those baby monitors, right? They put with the baby so you can see if they're distressed or whatever when you're basically, helping them to learn to be able to be by themselves. And again, we're having them be by themselves, which is crazy. But anyway, I look at that story totally different now now that I've read this story. But they put a monitor in the room, and there's an older toddler. He's about maybe 3 years old, and he says, "Can I go into the bed? Can I go into Bobby's room by myself? I just want to be alone with Bobby." And mom and dad looked at each other like, "I don't know, is that okay?" So they went up. And it's like, "Yeah, you can go in." So they go and they listen on the monitor, and the 3-year-old goes up to the baby and says, "Tell me about heaven. I'm forgetting." So that's memory of just like we remember. And as we come into this human experience and all the boundaries and belief systems and everything else that we do, it all just gets so many layers of veils and basically the forgetting. So part of that separation of the loneliness is all about remembering that I am oneness. And I think that's something that's really, really important, because we really ultimately are feeling spiritually orphaned. when it comes to sense like that. Of like, I didn't sign up for this. I wanted to be connected, and I wanted everybody to be loving and nice to each other. And gosh, we have a wonderful world. And then we come into this world and people are doing horrible things to each other. And we're just like, this isn't what I signed up for. But yet it is, because we really came here to be able to have these experiences of deepening ourselves and being able to evolve and seeing what that looks like. And the emptiness is recognizing that it's that emptiness because it's really coming back to our spiritual connection to the oneness. And through this series that we're going to be doing, really looking at all the different aspects of that and ways that we can really nurture ourselves and nudging ourselves into like learning and embracing that once again, because we haven't really left it. We have it, but it's a matter of remembering it and bringing it back to ourselves, just like the little, it's like talking to the inner child of myself. It's like, help me to be remembering heaven. I'm forgetting. And we can have that on an internal level. Our little child inside of us can be whispering that to us all the time and being able to remember that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Amy. And Amy's going to really be talking today about being able to place of, creating that safety so we can feel comfortable being able to bring that into a place of remembering and moving that into like, how could I have that more expanded in my world?
Well, thank you, Robin. You gave us quite a bit there to chew on. And the good news is we're going to do it over a period of time. So everybody kind of relax and remain calm. You don't have to have this all figured out. Um, for me, I want to be completely honest. A very close friend of mine is uh, in hospice and about to pass at any moment. And so I'm feeling like this separation work we're going to be doing is very much paralleling what I feel like I'm going right now. And from the spiritual perspective and the physical perspective, there's going to be separation. So I'm grateful that we're doing this. I'm honored to be part of this because I think it's important work. So, in terms of how do we stay connected, I don't think there's any real safety anywhere. And so, it's about how do I create a space where I can be feeling connected. I can get what I need. I can get the support I need. Well, something that was coming to me this morning, and the separation in our egos, and how do you know when you're in sacred self? How do you know we're in ego? Robin and I were at a angel circle. This amazing woman that we know. She would come in and work with a group and give angel readings, individually into the group. And she was a good friend of ours. And so she came and she said, I need a chair with nobody sitting in it at the circle. We're like, all right, okay. So we did that, and nobody sat in that circle, in that chair, in that circle. And every once in a while she'd look up and she'd say, thank you for sharing. Please sit down. And we all kind of went, well, okay. And then every so often she would say, thank you for sharing. Please sit down. And finally, we couldn't take it anymore. And we're like, all right, what are you doing? She said, oh, I'm just talking to my ego. She's trying to get involved in what I'm doing. And right now it's not helpful. But I appreciate the feedback, and I will look at that and see if that helps. So it's like, so not making the ego the enemy. We're not really, not separating from everything, but how do I be present to everything in a way that works for me? But and Maria talks a lot about protection, and that we never need to protect. It's about really being in our selfness, and then there is no need to protect. And something that's I've said to people many times in my life, that I'm an armored covered marshmallow. And that so much of it is in that trying to protect, that gooey inside. I have kept myself separate from people that I would probably want to be connected to. So, how do we stay in a space of feeling safe, which is right? Why do we protect? Because we don't feel safe. And so knowing that, and how do I make sense of that? And so uh, something that has come to me is having that circle of safety. And Darren Littlejohn talks about that in compassionate recovery. And I got that he wrote that during COVID, and I got that as the nanosecond it came out, because I love his work. He wrote the 12-step Buddhist. Love, love, love his work. And so I literally sat down with, I'm a trainer, and with a flip chart, and who are my circle of safety? Those people, here's my credit card, here's my passwords, let's go. And so right now in this space that I'm in, losing a really good friend of mine, we would talk every day, we were very connected. How do I make sense of that? This is a new thing for me, because I've always been that armored covered marshmallow. I got this, I got this, I got this. So immediately I started going, how can I feel safe? We could call it that. How can I feel like I am not alone? And I started reaching out to people that I trust, that are part of my circle of safety, real time, as everything was going down. And that has made a really big difference. And so I want you to consider that, when you realize you need support, or, not even, don't wait till the red light and the plane's going down. When you get a yellow light and something doesn't feel right, have those people that you can reach out to. And a good friend of mine, out of no place, I'd shared with her what was going on, and she came back to me and she said, Amy, you are not alone. And that means everything. That means everything. So, how do we stay connected? Alan Cohen, I love his work. I'm rereading Course in Miracles Made Simple. If you haven't read that, it's an amazing, amazing book. Course in Miracles and his book with the Cliff Notes. But in a workshop with him, he taught me this very amazing tool that I want to share with you. So I want you to rub your hands. That's our favorite thing. Put your hands on your heart. You're going to take a nice deep breath, releasing. And I want you to breathe in, connect with your heart. And I want you to ask your heart, what shall you have me do? What should I do next? And allow your heart, which is connected to your sacred self, what should I do next? Like Robin says, pigeon steps. Sometimes it's just standing up. It's not even taking a step. Sometimes it's getting in the shower. Sometimes it's getting off the couch. So what is the next step? And don't judge what that next step is. Even your ego may say blah 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 blah. And go, thank you for sharing. Please sit down. It's like, what would my sacred self have me do right now? So I think for right now, I think that's, don't want to give you too much. I think if you just start playing with this, maybe when you're feeling a little, take a nice deep breath, ask, what would you have me do? Connected to your sacred self. And then maybe part of that would be reaching out to the sacred selves in your circle and maybe allowing them to support you with a concept. All right. So Robin is now going to come back in, and she's going to do it from the nature as a healer.
From nature as a healer. Yeah, thank you, Amy. Amy, that was wonderful. I forgot about, thank you. Sit down. I think we could use that every day. Have an empty chair. It'd be great to have a little, on your altar, have this little baby chair and stick it on your altar. It's like, thank you, sit down. Okay, anyway. So nature, being the healer, I think one thing that's really wonderful is that, as much as we can, having it totally around us as much as possible. That could be a potted plant in your home. That could be, I do a weekly, walkthrough of my nature, my Home Depot, garden section. It's like there's so many ways that we can just allow ourselves to have a little break and being able to look at something and really coming from that level of awe and saying, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I forget how beautiful nature really is, and being able to speak with me and attune with me. So it's about tuning to our spiritual self, and that really comes from our nature self, because nature just really wants to hold us in such a sacred place. If you're familiar with Finhorn, Dorothy McLean was a channeler that basically would just talk through the plants all the time. And that's one thing that the trees had really, she's got a whole book about all these different channels that she did about the trees. And the trees wanted to remind us of, they have chosen to give up their free will and be on the earth and to hold energy for us in love. And they do that 24/7. So it's so important to be in this place of really seeking to have a mother tree, have a tree that's near your home that really can just, it's spread out its roots and it's nurturing all the other trees and nature that it's around it, but it wants to nurture us too and be really present with us. And so thinking, wow, that could be crazy that I do that, but I'm so glad that we're in an empathic environment here. And you guys are like, yeah, of course I'm going to talk to my mother tree. That would be awesome to be able to talk to her. So we're going to go through a few things really, just kind of high points. I'm going to be going back to these through the whole month, being reminding you guys of different stuff. Marie and I had a great conversation yesterday of kind of reminding me of some different things that I'm trying to bring them back to the table that I haven't necessarily utilized, and just the nature expressions that we have. And gosh, there's no better time in the world that we've had all these ways of being able to express it, to keep it convenient, to keep it easy, to be it's something that we can tune into that and just simply ask, is this the right one for me? And we're going to go ahead and have those in I'm going to go ahead and provide that for you guys, a list of different things you can have for check-ins for all the different parts of stuff. So, first of all, it's always really important to bring in music. And just like we're listening to the trees, it's really important to be listening to music that can really help to lift you. Something that's got, no words to it, unless you find something that's really fun. We have I introduced Maria to a song yesterday. It was a very spiritual song that really was just upbeat and going. And it was all about being able to embrace myself in a new way. So maybe we'll go ahead and attach that one as well. But it's important to get music that's got 60 beats per minute. Why? Because that's our resting heartbeat. And it's the same same rhythm as nature. So when we go ahead and have that, it's something to be able to do. You can even do the 528 megahertz, which is also something really connects you to nature's rhythm, nature's vibration. And so whether you're out and about and listening to that, or being able to be in a place of like, just have it on my YouTube. And I like to go to stuff that's probably at least 3 to 4 years older. So necessarily having something that's really been activated by the AI and have it where it can be just natural. And with that, I think one of the best sources, which kind of makes sense when you think about it, is go to all these pet videos where they basically have it for calming, where they've got sheep grazing or ducks in a pond or whatever's kind of happening, because the natural sounds of nature are there for you. So it's a really easy way of being able to do that. If it's good enough for my aunt, good enough for my pet, it's good enough for me. That's a good role to be able to have with that. And pets are a really wonderful way of doing that too. Having, going to, if you don't have a pet, maybe going someplace that has pets around, go a petting zoo or something like that. You can basically be reconnecting to nature and through the animals, because they really want to be helping us and keeping us connected. So, and it's, it's that perfect medicine of being able to come from that separation is really, nature's all around us, and creators of our sources put things around us to help us feel connected. So it's those ways of, the separation comes when I get into too much artificial, too much, isolation with being in my home and being in things like that. Being out and about, feeling the wind on my face, having connections with the water, being with all the different elements with fire and all that really helps us to be connected, because it's just a part of us and it wants to be having a general and regular connection with us on a daily basis. So I think that's really good. So really quick, we'll go through some of this stuff. And again, we're going to be going through it through the whole month, but I want to give you, the things kind of just like, oh yeah, I need to get that, or I'm going to write that down. We're going to be exploring these things with the different elements. So in aromatherapies, bergamot, bergamot is, if for Maria, I know she'll say this all the time, that's her go-to. She loves bergamot and wants it to be something that really helps everybody in that. So it's about, for calming, it's reducing stress. It helps to uplift your mood and promote relaxation. So just like prickly pear was a couple weeks ago, it basically fortifies and detoxes at the same time. That's something bergamot is really good at being able to do. A new one for me that she introduced to me yesterday was the Mei Chang. And Mei Chang is about uplifting our moods. It helps to kind of give you a fresh sense of things, like freshening the air, balance, and it's got a kind of a sweet smell of the lemon. So it's kind of, it lifts, and it also has that, just like lemon is a good detoxer. Same thing, we're coming from that. Rose geranium is really wonderful, because rose, like we've spoken for in the last couple episodes, is so important for our heart, really giving us our balance and being in our place of feeling comfortable, for balancing our mood. And it's also good for smoothing the skin. And I think part of that for me, and looking at that as a metaphor of like my outer coming to my inner, being able to have a smoothness of myself, because, our skin's our largest organ. So really coming from that place of allowing myself to be embodied with that, where basically I'm walking around and I've got a bubble of rose. How great is that? eases stress and really helps us. And one thing about the geranium rose, if you got regular rose as aromatherapy, it would be very expensive, but it would always can be really great to get the rose geranium. It's like I said, it's convenient. I can carry it around with me. I've got it in my car. I decided to have a little bit of a uplift, and I'm good to go. But part of that too is, just like we talked about before, having roses by your bedside, having roses where you can have a combination or a conversation with them can be something on a regular basis that can be really wonderful. So, gifting yourself maybe this month with a fresh rose every week, just a single or whatever, or buying yourself a little rose plant that you could be taking care of would be a wonderful thing to do. Angelica root is a wonderful one for being able to be in grounding. It helps to relax you and clear the airways. So here we're talking about working with the elements and being able to just have it where, to me, there's nothing wonderful than having this gentle breeze on my face when I'm out walking about and it's a pleasant day. To me, that's just spirit kissing my face and just really having that sense of being able to do that. It's also really good for respiratory support. And when I hear that, it really shows that levels of, I am safe. Because usually when you're having a hard time breathing, you're having a hard time being able to feel stressed in your environments. So helping you to open to that and being able to do that. And then Angelica is good for easing nervous tension. And we've got so much going on with the planet, whether you're on a global level or whatever, we're sensing a lot of things. So that really can help us to be in a place of just kind of easing it, remembering like, is this mine or somebody else's? I think it'd be a really touchstone for being able to do that. And I'm going to bring back Bach home remedies, because if you've never worked with Bach, he did formulas from different combinations with different stuff. One thing he does have is called Rescue Remedy. Can be a really good. It's a multi blend of stuff that he's put together that can help you. When you've got something where you feel like I need something, and instead of getting a drink of alcohol, I'm going to try Rescue Remedy. Could that be something that can kind of calm me and balance me in multiple ways? It's really good. When we're working with these separations, I think it's important to look at some of the components of what Bach has been offering with just what are the plants here for us to be able to do. And remember, it's important when we're working with plants, they're actually on one level of vibration higher than us, because they're helping us to move into these different energies, helping them to shift the energies. So this is a little bit higher. So it's this gentle movement of just we're going to move that into you right now. We're going to help you to lift that energy. We're going to help you to shift that thing, whatever that is. Centuria is for about self-abandonment. And boy, here we're talking about separation. We're feeling like I'm alone. I have all these different things. It really helps you if you have the issues of people pleasing. So really, that's something I would love for you to explore to get to Centuria. It's a number 4 in the Bach Home Remedies, and I think it'd be very good. It's about when you're overly kind, when you feel like you have to be quiet, when you feel like you're a gentle individual that just really wants to serve others. So it's not that we want that to go away. We want it to go in a way where I can realize, I can choose to be in this place. If I feel overwhelmed, I'm like, I'm overwhelmed right now, and that's something I'm going to be able to do, because it's a matter of really honoring ourselves with the fact we came into the planet to be that. Not that we need to change, but recognizing that I can do it in a different way that basically supports me. And that's really what we're talking about here, being able to support myself in the oneness, because as I'm supported in my oneness, I can be basically that for everybody. Amy, did you want to say something?
I just want to get tied together, and
Yeah.
Maria, bring Maria in.
Okay, I got one more, and then we'll go on, because I want you guys to be exploring this way. I would do it. So the other one would be oak. Being able to get the oak energy, which is 22, and being able to, that gives us strength, resilience. It helps us to feel grounded, and it's also having that deeper sense of myself and my body. And I think one of the issues I think people have when they're basically empaths is they don't feel safe in their bodies. So it's really important to be able to bring those different elements into yourself. And it made me think about when I was younger, I actually had I got a little charm that looked like a little acorn, and I wore it on a bracelet for a long time. So I think it was one of those reminders of myself of being able to have strength and being able to be, really encouraging myself to accept myself as I am. And I know that I can ask for help. So those are things that oak can be able to do. So I'm excited to see what Maria wants to be sharing with the separation and how we can be moving that into being able to feel safe in our bodies and having it on a physical level. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Well, I've been working with separation, I guess, since I was born. Most people that I encounter say, I remember not being from here, and I remember being safe. And those are the people that say, I'm not from this planet. I had other family. I had other things to do. And now I'm here. What I found with my clients, and for a long time that I've been doing this work as a medical intuitive, yes, there is the wound of separation from source, but it's deeper than that. It is deeper because you come in here, especially after 1990, with your senses open, not your five senses. We have way more than those. So you are aware of your surroundings, but in this physical form, it could be overwhelming. It could be really overwhelming. So I'm moving more from the empath word into the sensitive word, because empath, usually coming from psychology and medicine, means there is something wrong with you because you are taking in the world's pain, right? And I don't see it that way. We need to remember where we came from. Where are we? And why did we choose to have this experience? And remember that we are all protected. We might not see who's protecting us, but we have guides, we have angels, and we have source. Source, it's part of us, right? So I want you to feel out, and I could talk about this on and on and on, because there are certain parts of our energy anatomy that are keeping us from not leaving this world, or not over feel everything that it's going to collapse our body, right? So I want you to feel, and it doesn't have to be in your body, right? Where do you feel emotionally drained? Where is it? Is it at home? Is it at work? Is it within your family? Take a deep breath and think of all those moments where your mind, your looping mind, made you feel you are alone. You came into this world, into this family, into this relationship, into this job, into this group, and no one listens to me, or I'm not seen. Where do you feel you're emotionally drained? Which one does it feel most familiar with you? Abandonment? Separation? Let's see which one weighs more in your body. I want you to notice, and we're gonna rub our hands again. Put one hand over your heart, because usually that's where that wound is. And just start moving your hands counterclockwise. What it means is the clock is in your body. So you're going to move your hands from left to right and start moving it counterclockwise. And just pull out with your intention everything that it's coming from there. And just say, I release this wound of abandonment. Feeling alone, feeling not connected, separated from source in this energy. And I'm not asking if it's mine or not, because at this point, I just want to get rid of it. And you lovingly are going to say, I send you to be neutralized and transformed where you belong. Now put your hands over your heart, your physical heart, and your thymus. On your thymus, there is the seat of the soul. And it's usually the pure connection with source. Just notice if it's empty, if it's full. And now we're going to grab our hand again, and now we're going to move it clockwise. And you're going to say the following with me. I accept peace, authenticity, connection to source, and infinite love. I connect to peace, connection to source, infinite love. Put both hands over your heart. And if you still feel a little bit of disconnection and separation, well, you can contact any of us because there must be a problem with your heart line that it's not making the electromagnetic connection to source. And it sounds like, wow, huge, but it's easy to correct. Take a deep breath and say, I am peace. I am infinite love. I am a whole united being. Great. I want to hear what you all have to say about it.
Wow. I really felt a release there. Thank you, Maria. And I really felt the bringing in. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Yay.
Yay.
Yes, I loved it. Thank
Virginia.
you.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And Maria, thank you very much. I felt very strong. Precisely last night, um, I was working on down the connection of the uh, gold core to the source, and my connection was almost in 10%, even though I supposedly connect every single day. But Yes, I was working precisely on that yesterday. And another question, I have a question for Robin. There, Maria, what is the oil that you recommend to her? Mary, what? The oil that you,
Oh, Mei
no, I
Chang.
didn't, say it
Mei
again?
Chang. Mei. The first word Chang.
Mei Cheng.
Chang. Mei Chang.
Mei Cheng.
Mei Chang. Yeah.
Jay, how do you
Yes.
spell it?
The name of the plant it's Litsea cubia.
Okay. Well, when you have the chance, May CHE.
No, MEI
Yeah, the MEI.
CHANG.
NG. Okay, and then the four back
The
remedy
flower.
was which one? Number 4.
Oh, number 4 is it's S. It's C like in cat. ENTAURY.
EAURY.
And that's a Bach home remedy.
Okay. The
Yeah.
stout is stoutus. ST
Star
SCT.
dust. Star like a bright
Ah,
star.
okay. Start. Okay.
Dust like dusty things.
Starlight.
Polvo.
Okay, I will see it. I will check it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brianna, can we come back to you?
Sure. I have no story to really add other than like I've
Good.
been
That's good.
practicing meditation a little bit more, and I feel like it's just becoming natural and almost easy to sort of tap into the energy. So
Mm,
every time I feel like I just get more and more excited because I know there's levels to this. So
mm,
yeah, thank you. Thank you all for sharing the space.
beautiful. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for coming. Woo! And there is a power in sharing
Yeah.
this together too. It's good to do, our own meditations, our own practices, but there is something magical about doing it with others that you feel safe with.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the only one that can connect yourself to source, it's yourself.
Hmm.
Make the decision, do the work, do the journaling, find out why are you in such a state of being afraid, of not belonging. Because if we look at it, we all chose to come here.
Right.
Now we came here and now we're like,
Well, and I think it's
living
part,
out.
yeah, Maria, part of it is too, is having the courage, I would say, to talk to that part of you that is afraid, that is not handling it well, or however you want to phrase that. And, but first get into your sacred self, you know, and then talk to that part, that whether it's doubt or frustration or abandonment, it doesn't really matter. But having the courage to have those conversations as real time as possible.
Yes,
I think
yes,
it's
yes.
good too that if you have friends that you feel safe with, that you can speak one on one in a spiritual way, to let them know that, this is what I'm feeling. Can you help me to walk through that? Can you help me be in a process with that? Because I mean, sometimes there could be just that one thing that you're just not, you're bumping up against it, instead of having it being
Agree.
something you can allow it to
Mhm.
flow and understand it. So I think just, especially if it's a sacred person, is, you can both show each other your sacred selves. I think that you know what that is when you meet somebody. You know that you've got that heart connection. So I think it'd be something that would be able to really help you to walk through it. Just be listening. Spirit say, if you start asking Spirit say help you to let me gently help me to have this get moved or shifted. They're going to help you work on it.
So, and I want you to know, and Robin's going to tie this together with a pretty bow, that we each shared a lot of things for you to think about and maybe practice. So we want you to, take the pigeon steps, or maybe baby steps, or however it works for you, pick a couple of things from what we talked about today, use your intuition, use your own knowing, and, try some things and see what works for you.
Yeah. And this week was really just kind of really setting the tone for the whole month. So I think, just kind of setting it up for what it was, because really this first one is just such just a monumental thing, the first thing that just got us started into this whole life pattern of separation. So I think understanding this really helps us to move from a place of being gentle with ourselves and recognizing that, like Maria said, we've come in. I mean, there's so many joys in this world. There's so many beautiful things in this world, and having things that we can come from a place of joy and appreciation with that as much as we can, I think can really help us be in a place of just like, what am I grateful for today? Coming from maybe that gratitude journal again, 5 things I'm grateful for today, because that's something that always being in a place of thankfulness and gratitude, we could really see why did I come here? There's so much beauty in the world. There's so many connections of just, I have a laugh in the grocery store with a stranger. There's a reason I had that. Spirit brought that connection to me for today, being able to help that person or they help me, and having it be something where we're all connected, because that's part of the oneness. And being delighted, like, 5 ways that I was seeing oneness today. And it can be in anything. It can show itself in infinite ways. So I think that might be a fun way of being able to do a journal, gratitude and oneness. And what is that showing me today? I think it could be very profound if you allow yourself to be in that kind of place. So
And
again, go ahead,
And
Ann.
I just want to say, with Maria, thank you for. I really love what you talked about is being sensitive versus being an empath. And I really want to frame things that way because I think empath is overused in a way that's not helpful. So, and we're all sensitive to different things in different ways. And,
Absolutely.
and Maria talks about the senses. There are so many. I don't want to overwhelm you with that. So just knowing, honoring that about yourself and not judging that, and there can be a part of you that judges that. Go talk to that part. But but you just don't. Okay, so I have certain sensitivities. We all do. Honoring that, and how do I use those as my superpower?
Exactly. How do you use them as a superpower?
Because they are
Not as
superpowers.
a fault. Yeah, not as
They
a
are
fault.
superpowers, yeah. And we don't need to be apologizing for that, but just recognizing that, it's slowly working its way onto this world in a new way as we evolve. So it's something that's really helping us to be in a place of being able to be open and curious and looking for the fun and the play in it, as opposed to being something that we've been made wrong for centuries. So it's just being able to move that into a new energy and being able to look at that. So next week we're going to be talking about physical abandonment and the body's memory of the lack of safety and support. So again, this is going to be kind of enmeshed, and it's almost like an infinity of the way it comes back and forth in the way we do things. But we'll kind of be focusing on that a little bit more and coming from that, and we'll go back into forgiveness, because forgiveness is a part of that physical abandonment that we can be helping. So in closing, I just want to remind everybody, sensitivity is not about becoming less empathic. It's about becoming more centered, discerning, and free, allowing ourselves to really express ourselves and who we really are. So it's just remember that what is yours. Release what is not. Embrace the truth of who you really are, because you're the essence of your presence.
Yeah. I
And
just
we're always going to
want
go
to
back to that. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So
I just
love you
want
all.
to
Thank you for being
remind
here.
you.
And
Robin, wait, Maria.
I just want to remind you, everyone, next week, next Thursday, I'll be starting a new cycle of medical intuition in Spanish. So if you're interested, the link is going to be below, and you're going to have all the information in there. So this is for a petit comité group. So I only take about 15 students. I already have 9. So if you want to be one of the ones that want to study and further all of this knowledge, the link will be below. Thank you.
yeah,
Beautiful
if
work, Maria.
somebody's
Beautiful work.
popping in your head of like, oh, that would be a great person to tell about this, go for it. You know, that's the reason why it's coming into your mind right now. Spirit speak, whispering that to being, you know, nudging somebody else into being able to do the work. Maria is an amazing teacher. She just gives you all kinds of things. And really, it's all about being able to be that much more in your place of safety and understanding things. So it to be something that really can help your personal development as well as being able to help other people. So I really want to encourage you, if that's something you're getting the nudge or think of somebody else, to really encourage them to be able to do that. And as always, you know, let us know how you really love this. Go over to Flowerful Living, our wellness page on Facebook, and you know, maybe talk about, you know, hey, I tried this Bacchum remedy or flowers, or Maria's exercise was wonderful. Amy's and, you know, exercise was really great. Go back and watch the episode, because you're not going to regret it. It's something that really gives them, and you know, send it to a friend. If there's something that we said, there's like, wow, that person could really benefit from this messages. You know, we're just really want to have it out there where it's, you know, real tools, real time, good information that can really help people to be able to just make those little micro shifts that really help the whole world to be in a better place. And as always, we want to thank you guys for joining us.
Very good. Very good. Yay!
Thank you. Muchas gracias.